Hi, everybody. Welcome to In the Know with Nina. I'm your host, Dr. Nina Crowley. I'm the Director of Clinical Education and Partnerships at SICA, where we partner with healthcare providers to offer body composition solutions. And I'm so excited to be joined today by Danielle Hildreth. She's a registered dietitian at Sensei. And I'm going to let her tell you about what Sensei is all about and how they practice, because I think it's a really neat way for dietitians to be involved, and what they're doing with body comp is really cool. So thanks, Danielle, for joining me.
Thank you for having me here. This is such a fun experience. So, like Nia said, my name is Danielle. I'm a registered dietitian here at Sensei. I had a background in outpatient before coming here, but my main goal is prevention. And so that's where Sensei really kind of found my interest. And so here at Sensei, we actually were developed by our co-founders, Dr. David Agus and Larry Ellison. And they had a mutual friend that was diagnosed with cancer, and they realized as a society, we're very reactionary. So we don't look at the preventative side of things. And so that's where they developed Sensei in the Sensei way, which really encompasses the whole well-being. So here we focus on move, nourish, and rest. And so I really I represent the nourish aspect of things, but here we have exercise physiologists on hand. We have mindset guides that have different backgrounds in meditation and also healthcare. We also have yoga practitioners, and we have some additional staff like massage therapists. And so we're all able to work together to really help with our guests and their stay and their intentions.
Oh my gosh, that to me is like when I went to school to be a dietitian, I probably envisioned that I'd be working somewhere like that. So that
Yes.
sounds like such a really cool way to practice. And I can see our Sika device behind you. So also I think it's exciting to tell folks about, where you guys are located and kind of, what are the clientele? How do they come through? What does sort of that journey look like in your
Yeah.
world?
So here we're located on Lanai in Hawaii. So it's one of those secluded islands that you may have not heard of. We have a population of about 3,300 people. So it's not necessarily the touristy Hawaii that you think of. So a lot of individuals that come here are primarily coming for the wellness aspect of things. Um, and so here our clientele is just, again, individuals that are looking to improve upon their own health and wellness. So we get individuals that are women in menopause, because this is something that more and more women are trying to dive into to really get an understanding of, what is happening. We have people that are very athletic. And so we really have a package for them that's called our Optimal Wellbeing Program. So that really is looking at the move, nourish, rest philosophy and how to optimize their current habits. We get a lot of individuals from young 18-year-olds that are coming with their families to 30-year-olds to all the way up. We've had 80-year-olds that have come through the property as well. So our demographic is kind of vast, which is fun because then it's not the same nutrition consults or the same guests that we're seeing day in and day out. So definitely a really good variety of individuals that come through here. And we partner with Four Seasons as well. So we are located at Four Seasons within their hotel. And so we're the wellness aspect of things.
That's so awesome. I think that prevention and wellness side is really, such an important part of the conversation. So clients, do they come through? Does everybody get body comp done, or how do they decide? Or is that kind of different packages? I haven't looked
Yeah,
at the full offerings, but I do feel like I might need to stay there to really understand it.
I think you do too. Yes, yes, come on. It's like a 22-hour flight from you throughout the East Coast.
I'll do it.
But yeah, we have a variety of packages for our guests. So we have our kind of a high level packages with that optimum well-being. And so in there, they do a nutrition with biomarkers. They do a VO2 testing, a fitness session, also a mindset with biomarkers. And so that's where Sika comes into play. And one aspect is that nutrition with biomarkers. So this is my favorite session. So what I do is I take Sika and then we give a nutrition consult based on that information. So we're really pairing together this data. So if I notice, okay, their skeletal muscle mass is a little bit lower, or say they exercise, and this is the conversation we'll have is, how do you feel for that exercise then? Or if we notice their fat mass is a little elevated and they're struggling to lose weight, we talk about, is there any other indicators that could be really inhibiting their weight loss goals? So maybe it's stress. So that's one package that we have where I really pair nutrition with that body comp. We also have our main session is the My Intention session. So what that session is in a couple of different packages that we offer here. It's just an introductory session. We get kind of lay of the land, how the guest arrived here, what are they looking to achieve on property. We talk about their current habits. So again, their move, nourish, rest. And then we have Sika included in on that. And again, recommendations come out of this one too. So if I notice they could benefit because their movement strategies, they don't stretch, well then I recommend, a fitness one-on-one. Or if they're talking about their nutrition and how they struggle while they're eating, while they're traveling, well then I recommend a nutrition one-on-one. Or if behavior changes is the common denominator, then I'm going to recommend a mindset one-on-one. So that session is really just to help understand what the guest is experiencing and how we can provide insight or recommendations for bettering those behaviors. And then we have a standalone body composition session in itself. So a 30-minute session in which all we do is look at the body composition and then again give recommendations, because we're really trying to pair this data that we obtain with the offerings that we have here. So then it's really sticky and it really hits home so that they have something to take home with them.
Oh my gosh, I love that piece of it so much, because I feel like there's so many times where people just are throwing more data at folks. And I mean, we know that data is important and it can help, for insights to, all these other health conditions. But I think sometimes there's a tendency to think more is better. So,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not connected to something that they can actually find actionable, or that they're able to make some movement on, I think that's less important to focus on than the ones that they are. So I love that. Uh, what are some of the parameters or your favorites that how the customers respond to the parameters that you're looking at? You said muscle
So
mass.
yeah, very common one. Yeah. And whenever we go over this information, our guests are always wowed. And they love to take a look at this data, because the first thing that I'll look at is the weight. And this is where the conversation starts, is because we're all used to hopping on the scale and seeing that one number. Where the body composition, we actually get to know what that number is composed of. So I look at a couple different parameters with their skeletal muscle mass. So we look at the segmental, and so if I see if any imbalances, we look at just the total and kind of how they compare to their demographic, and then also that skeletal muscle mass over age. This is one I harp on a little bit because it really shows a great depiction of how our muscle mass declines as we age. And so that really is one that kind of the guests really relate to, is because it just depicts what is naturally occurring. We also talk about their fat mass and their visceral adipose tissue. So I look at the visceral adipose tissue, and so that if they have elevated visceral adipose, I talk about the health risks and what this could, cause. And then the caloric requirement. We have a lot of individuals here that weight loss is their goal, and their main thing is, I'm going to create a huge deficit and I'm going to lose a lot of weight. Well, we know that that's not necessarily how that happens. So I have that conversation of whatever baseline is, what is that resting energy requirement? And I don't focus on the numbers. I'm just giving them an idea of, we have a baseline we need to achieve. And if we don't hit that, our body has different intentions put in place for that. So that's another one that guests might not always realize, but a really good teaching point for them.
I love that. Really, and the way you frame that, I think that's probably the same way that I would set it up,
Good.
anchoring that conversation in weight or BMI, whichever, kind of trends more for you. And then, yeah, those are really good ways to talk through muscle mass. I also love the muscle mass by age, because I think it does show that the concept of, this is what's happening, like you said, without trying. And so that is a motivator for a lot of folks to consider, resistance training, maybe when they hadn't before, or maybe
Mhm.
when we're giving that blanket advice of like, oh, it's beyond the eat less, move more. I think sometimes people get into this lift weights and eat more protein, and that can be too simple, and that doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily connect with actual behavior change. So I love being able to show them that visually as well. And visceral adipose tissue, I think, is, we're going to keep seeing more and more about that, because it does connect to health, and all these other, reasons why we're worried or concentrating on body composition beyond just that number on the scale.
Exactly. Yeah.
what do people get hung up on, or what do you find that they, maybe don't understand that is confusing to them, or that they over focus on? Do you have anything there that's kind of the dark side of their measurements?
Yeah, so one thing is people just really focus on that weight. They always tell me on vacation, I've been eating a little bit more, and
Mm.
so we have that conversation. Yes, your weight can fluctuate as, your hydration fluctuates. And so I try to just give him a little bit of understanding is be lenient with yourself. Don't be so hard on one number. Fat mass is another one people really focus on as well as they notice, okay, maybe it's a little bit elevated, or it's more elevated than they expected. But really, what I tell them is this is just where your baseline is. What you do with this information is yours. So if you decide, okay, I notice my fat mass is a little bit elevated, well, maybe I need to adjust my diet, or maybe I need to, adjust my exercise routine to really focus on achieving this goal. I really want them to get an understanding of this isn't bad numbers, it's just where we're at currently. And things that they'll learn here will be strategies to help really make some movement in some of these numbers.
Do you hear from a lot of them after the fact, or after they're back at home? Do they stay in touch, or are they regulars and come back so that you can see what they've done?
Yeah. So we do have post-day sessions as well. So guests can meet with me, or they can meet with one of other guides on property, which is what I am, a nutrition guide here. But then we also have return guests, which is so fascinating. We have a couple individuals that I've worked with probably since I've started here, 3 separate times they've been here, in one guest that I'm thinking in particular. And they always love hopping on that Sika scale because they realize, okay, this is the goal I focused on this last year. Do I achieve it? Or do I need to make some adjustments to continue to work towards that? So it's really fun to follow trends as well. So we have a handful of guests that do come back and then again want to hop on that Sika scale to see what our recommendations that they implemented, how did it move that needle.
Yeah, the trending I think is important. So I was wondering about that, if if you're doing this sort of as a one-time effort, or maybe they go back home and find a provider that has a similar setup where they can kind of check in every couple months. But that's cool. I love hearing that. So what other things are kind of unique and interesting about your program that you feel like we should probably all be doing a little bit more in our general healthcare model?
Yeah, so this job is incredibly unique. Not only do I focus on prevention in my nutrition one-on-ones, but I've also had the opportunity to develop some programming here. So I've created a sensory eating one-on-one session, semi-private, and class as well. And so what I do is in the nutrition sessions, we talk about the what we eat. Where in these sensory eating sessions, we talk about the how we eat. So we go down to Nobu and we sit and have a meal together. So we have either breakfast or lunch. And we talk about our sympathetic versus our parasympathetic, those stress responses. We talk about the environment, how fast we eat. So that's a really fun one because most individuals don't really focus all that much on it. It's just, eating is kind of a mission and then check that off my list and the next thing. So they really, I shouldn't say all, some people are very intuitive, but it can be an eye opener, which is really fun because you can see kind of a light bulb go off in some individuals when we're going over some of this information. Not only that, we've also created some programming for this hiking retreat that we offer here on property. It's our second one that we've offered at Sensei here at Lanai. And in there, I've had the opportunity to develop some snacks and some meals that is then offered at the halfway point on these hikes. So then I'll go bring the food out, have a little educational component to it. So we'll talk about why this particular snack is really beneficial for hiking. But my favorite is we create this bento box that is absolutely beautiful. And they eat this meal at the midpoint, and the midpoint is actually as an overlook of Molokai and Maui.
Oh my
So
gosh,
it's
I'm coming
absolutely
there.
astounding. Talk about sensory eating there.
Wow.
So as you can see, I really partner with our Four Seasons food and beverage staff to develop some of these things, and also our Nobu kitchen staff as well, which is so fun. Chef and I are creating these meals together, like the hiking retreat meals. But then I also get a little bit of say in some of the menu as well that's offered in our kitchen or offered in our dining as well. So we'll talk about serving sizes and maybe adjusting some ingredients to up the protein content or getting some healthier fats included as well. So it's fun. Every day is not the same by any means, which really makes it really fun and enjoyable to come to work.
Yeah, that sounds like it sounds like a really good way to even just apply all of the stuff that so often gets left in an office setting, when you're not able to see and feel and touch, the food or the, experience with people. Wow. So I love that. I really do. That's a really good way to kind of bring it all together. And well, you're going to be keeping that job for a long time, I'm sure.
Yes.
And you guys have a few other locations around the country, or?
We do, yes. So we have a second property. It's called our Porcupine Creek property. That's outside of Palm Springs. Same concept there, except it's in the desert is really the only difference there. We have the same offerings. We have our exercise physiologist. There's a dietitian on hand there as well. And then we have our mindset guides. And then we have classes too. So we have a variety of yoga classes, meditation classes. We have some art classes, some art walks. So not only nourishing the body, but also nourishing the mind as well. And then a handful of fitness classes from classes that focus on functional fascia. Well, that's what it's called. It focuses on our fascia to strength training, to core. So a variety of different components that you can really explore while you're here.
That's so cool. And it seems like also very muscle health focused too.
Yes, yes. Because one thing we do notice is that individuals may include strength training, but they might not be fueling properly for it, or I get a lot of the women in menopause that don't really want to strength train. But here I plant the seed and they usually end up talking with Eduardo, who's our exercise physiologist, and then they just kind of run with it. So as a team, we really can collaborate, which is so much fun because I've learned so much in this position here. So I'm used to kind of hanging out in that nutrition, the kind of silo. Well, here we really get to melt minds, which is fantastic. And so there's always some common denominator for these guests. And so really kind of finding that little key and then how each individual can really help the guests reach that goal.
So are there any things that you find are new, like trends, or what are people asking about in this space? Are there things that even from your Sika perspective, are they asking like, I wish it could tell me this, like what I'm so unfamiliar with the working well in a way that I am curious to hear sort of what they're asking about.
That is a very good question, actually. Because there are so many questions that kind of even throw curveballs at me. Guess, there's so many different fads out there. There's so much information that it's hard to keep up. So that's one thing I do enjoy is that guests will come here with things that I haven't even heard of quite yet. Another little struggle is living on Lanai. We don't have we have a more of a market. So we don't get to see all the new products that come through here. So a lot of times what I hear guests will ask me about is, have you heard of this product? Is this something I should be consuming? Or supplements, should I be taking this supplement? Or, XYZ or probiotics is another one. With the Sika though, they're just so amazed by the data that they really don't have anything as, I wish I could learn this. They're usually like, this tells me all of this information. So they're just, blown away by the data that you can get in what it takes about 2 minutes max to get all that information, probably around there. They're just blown away.
Oh, well, I love to hear that. Okay, well, then my job's done, and I am interested in coming out there to check that out for sure. But yeah, all right. Well, are there any other ways that we should connect with you, or if someone wanted to come visit, they just look you up to get over there?
Yeah. So we have our website. You can take a look at it's sensei.com. and it partners with Four Seasons as well. So in that instance, you just go online and we have a couple different offerings, different packages. So we have Wellness Curious, we have people that want to take a deeper dive, or if we just want to, so we have that optimal well-being, we have a guided wellness package and a discover package, and then a room only as well. So it depends on how submerged you want to get into the wellness. There's a variety of options for you. But yeah, if you're curious, just check it out, Sensei Lanai, and it's located here on Lanai in Hawaii. It's absolutely amazing here. Every little island has its own personality. So if you've been to Oahu or Maui before, you'll expect a little bit different here on property. We have a little higher elevation. It's a little bit cooler. The mist comes through the mountains in the mornings, and yeah, it's not the typical hustle and bustle of some of the other touristy areas. And our beaches here are absolutely amazing. I'm a little biased because I live here, but it's very beautiful. It's very
Did you
quiet.
grow up there, or you?
I did not. No, I grew up in North Dakota, so as far as you can get away from Hawaii as possible. But yeah, I absolutely love it here. It's a beautiful place to live and to work. The facility is amazing. So not only do we have these beautiful offices here to work in, but our gardens are a botanical garden in itself. So it's an amazing place to work for sure.
Cool. Well, yeah, I'm really happy to share your experience with our listeners, and just to kind of see the different places where body composition can be integrated. It's a really refreshing conversation. So thank you so much, Danielle. I
Thank
appreciate your
you.
time, and I'll see you out there soon, I hope.
I hope so.
Take care.
You as well.